last week we touched on the idea of seba and the difficulty of how you become a seba nowadays, and I said that as far as I'm concerned, the seba is far from derech erus, very derech avos. But I don't write the book; I just read it. And we said we'll discuss this concept now. There are certain things which are be'etzem, and certain things are social conditioning. And I'll use this as an example. I apologize for my coarseness of picking conversations. In China, a person who burps loudly at a meal is a way of saying thank you. Okay? We consider that uncivilized. Yeah. So there's nothing like saying thank you from the belly, right? I guess that's the point. And fine, different places. Which way is the best way to say thank you? I don't know. Different places. There are certain things which are given. Not given. They're be'etzem. Right. They're intrinsically one way or the other. So there is a tzura of people being the tzura mechubad, which is being dressed. I'll just share this with you. There was a Rav in Beit Vegan. His name was Oruch Chaim, who was a lovely person. I don't have a better word to say to describe him. He was a Yid, a tzaddik, a Talmud Chacham, a real American guy, a Talmud from Baron Kotler. Just for those who are Americans, he was drafted to be a pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, and he turned it down to learn in Lakewood instead. Anyways, he was a beautiful person, and he didn't have a bad bone in his body, and he was a real Ben Torah. And I met him once at a bris, and some bochrim came in with their shirts out of their pants, not by accident. And I knew they are not going to get away with this. And I knew that he's not going to offend them. I wasn't sure how is this going to happen. And I just knew, somebody I know for 25 years. I knew it's coming. I just didn't know how it's going to happen. And he walks over to them so sweetly and he says, you look like Bnei Torah. Are you Bnei Torah, proud Bnei Torah? And they said, yes. So he looks at them and says, that's not the way Bnei Torah should be dressed, is it? And they said, no. And they all tucked in their shirts with a big smile. So, well, I wish I could do that. Even if I would follow the script, I don't think be able to pull it off. You have to be a nice guy. So don't have that the mila. Anyways, you sure I'm done? It's it's a mechubad, period. Okay, that's not social. That's called I'm not being proper. The statement, I'm not being dressed properly. Heseba, is that the etzem, or is that social expression? Now, I will share with you my first Friday night in Eretz Yisrael. I davened in Zichron Moshe, and after davening as a good American guy, I went over to the guy next to me and I said, "Good Shabbos." I stuck out my hand, and he looks at me and he says, "Here in Eretz Yisrael, we believe you with your word. You don't have to shake hands over it." Okay. So fine, you have to shake hands. These are social conditioning. This is irrelevant. What about his seva? Is that be'etzem or not? What?
It would seem not, but we all grew up as this.
Yes.
We all grew up without it. We grew up without it.
Seva is simply a sign of chaos. If you can do it some other way, it's generally accepted in our way.
No. To know is this a natural expression?
No.
When a person Did you ever see a guy who just learned how to drive, hold the steering wheel?
Same as women.
You know what? That's what I hold the steering wheel when they're behind me. They're keyed up, right? There's a position, right? This is a position of hyper intense focus. What? Yeah. So, but Heseba, that is release, relax. Perhaps Heseba is Ba'etzem. You know, what do you want? I had a rough day at the office. I want to just come home and lay down on the couch. Why don't you go into bed? No. It's a lot of the part. Why? Because in bed you sleep. When you lay down on the couch, what are you doing? Why can't you relax in your bed? Even you can lay down better there. The answer is, they say, right? I didn't say that in English. What? It's just not the same. In other words, I'm just giving you an understanding of there is such a thing as a seba, possibly ba'etzem.
Almost like a shaman. They're not supposed to get up and then.
What does that do with your seba? Service. We know what service is.
It has to be a saver. They shouldn't even be getting up at all.
That's room service. We don't have to explain that to us. We know room service.
Even those parents get stressed. The parents has to do all the way.
So that what?
They don't have lying on the couch when you're eating.
I didn't. That's true. That's true. But I didn't. That doesn't.
If that was an ideal, then you would think you would see it somewhere.
No. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that way of doing things, and because there's certain things which became antiquated, even though they're ba'etzem. Now, I think other things which are more important to us than what's really important. In other words, if you would, I want to tell you something, a chiddush, it would be a good idea to sleep at night. We live in a society of 24/7. It's not healthy for us that the stores are open 24/7. It's not healthy for us that are not doing it. It's not healthy. There's supposed to be downtime, right? That's ba'etzem. In other words, if the world around you, if you have to hear the news at 12 o'clock at night, you're not going to sleep well. It's not good. This is not a Musa Shmuz. I'm talking about that for a person's physical and mental health. We do not live properly. But you could kiss it goodbye. It's over. That's not where we are. Anyways.
Seifa is essentially a good idea, but practically speaking.
So some people don't. I'm suggesting. I don't know exactly, but let's see the halacha. I'm saying this over for a reason. Says halacha dalet. Isha eina tzricha heseba. Kafayim basic dalet. Sorry. Isha eina tzricha heseba. Ela kei chashuva. Now, this is something which needs explanation.
Everyone's supposed to treat their wives like a queen. They're all
But that's a question or an answer?
It's a question. What do you mean, Ela can't do it? They're all tested. And you couldn't even make an thing. So we're all tested. We're all kings and queens. So where's the distinction here?
So I'm going to answer that question. What? Yeah, that's true. In other words, but the answer to the question is that there's certain conduct which is proper for certain kind of people. Okay? A person who's a chashuv person, they act and react and interact differently than people that are lowercase people. It's improper for a person who's a lowercase person to act like the proper person. It's also a sham.
So we're saying most women are lowercase people.
No. It's not about Pesach night. This is what is the proper conduct we expect from the person. They're supposed to be acting, so to speak, their best. So the person who's an Isha Chashuva, she lives the life called the high society of life. The Mela, she's that person who does do her seva, so that takes her out of the status of the regular ladies who don't, and therefore it's necessary for her to do a seva. Regular women are not socially in the place that it's proper for them to be doing a seva, because they're supposed to be at attention, not supposed to be chilled out. It's not proper for them to be chilled out.
So a man who's a shamish, let's say, he's the service person.
So he doesn't do a seva. Shamish doesn't do a seva. That's a kokach nachon. She's a nachon, right? So let's see the halacha. Isha enet tzricha seva, elam keni chashuva. Says the Rambam, v'chol nashim shalom mikri chashuvos. Okay. No, but not lela seder. Always. This is a
status. But he's applying it to lela seder.
No, Mamela the halacha lela seder is different for them. In other words, a not isha shalanu, which I don't know what that is exactly, right? Another isha shalanu is a lo bamakom.
Sephardi woman.
A Sephardi woman. Okay.
Doesn't consider that. Doesn't say that.
Right. Lo nagu lahosev. They don't do a say, but why? This is a fascinating thing. Ki samchal divrei haravya, the chosav the zman hazeh ein lahosev. Ein lahosev.
For ladies, for men.
For men, he says they're bad for everybody. Now,
and only the women
says the Mishnah Berurah Yud Gimel. 1 second. There's a reason why I started off with my theoretical question. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the time, what's the reason of the Rav Yah? We don't, as Parrot says, we go to restaurants, fine cuisine. We go on the yacht and we spend our Pesach playing tennis in some exotic Mitzrayim. Okay? אבל תוך 12 חודש, על אב ואימו, או תוך 3 קרובים, כל שלא הגשמה לפני הרגל, אף שהוא חי בסבב, מכל מקום נכון שלא להיחשף על מיתה כבודה כלולה. אלא ייסו ושינקסס, I don't hold. Okay.
That's what we all do now.
Okay, well maybe. Anyways, but what does it say? Women are soymech of the Rav Yah, and they don't do a seder. Why? Because nowadays we don't do a seder. Now, let's go weiter. Skip right now to Sip Zion. I'm not skipping anything. I'm just continuing on the halacha. Kol mi shetzorech haseba, im ochal oishasa b'loy haseba, lo yotza. V'tzorech lachzer v'lishtos b'haseba. Lachzer v'lishtos b'haseba. You have to do it over again. V'yesh omrim, de bezman hazeh, the ein derech lahosiv. I would like someone to read for me the line that I just said. Again, the women, they don't do a seba because they're soymech on their Rav Yah.
Doesn't say any women. It says anyone.
No. It's Sif Dalit.
Okay.
In Sif Dalit, the level which you learned before. Women don't do a seba because they're soymech on their Rav Yah. Nashim shalanu chashuvais. So the chayra they're just as mechuyev as men. So if they can be samech under Rav Yah, why shouldn't the man be mechuyev to be samech under Rav Yah? No, but something doesn't go. You know, I'm not sure which one is shver. Is the lady that's choshev shver that she's samech under Rav Yah, or the man who did not do a seba that has to do over is Ishra. Who's our problem?
More like the woman's the problem. The man's the bidi evet, so he has how many least spoke. The women are doing it lechatchila.
If a man, I'll ask the question in a different form. If a man says, Peretz Distan says, Rabbi Zachariash, my whole life, every year, Lola Seder, to have to be Mesiv was tsarly. The Rav Yah says, and women are Samcham the Rav Yah. Wouldn't my Simchas Yontif be okay enough of a reason for me to have my Lola Seder sitting down? What should I tell you?
We're taking away one of the Manishtan questions.
No, because your wife doesn't say that. What should I tell you? No, it's where's the man-woman issue? Okay? Now, I would like to suggest an answer, a little bit of a novel answer. But let's continue and we'll see how complicated this halacha is. How much are we soymech on the Rav Yah or not? But that's the question. Venerally, now comes the hachra of the Rambam. Because if you're going to re-drink those, the yesh boch shashin here can moisef ala kaisos. So therefore, we're forced to be soymech on the Rav Yah. Whereas in the first two kaisos, which me'ikr the dina, you're allowed to drink extra kaisos between the first and second, or the second and third. So therefore, there we won't be soymech on the Rav Yah, and we'll tell you to drink again. So we soymech on the Rav Yah, not soymech on the Rav Yah. And the lady, for the beginning, she doesn't. She is stuck. I mean, why is she not doing a seder? Oh, so we're gonna have to explain that too, right? Either it is or it isn't.
Why did you just say by ladies it's a mitzvah station it's my grandma, so they don't have to do it?
That's a good question. There's an answer to that question. Women are mechuyev on all the mitzvahs of the seder. Yeah. Okay. Our mishnei kaisos rishonis yachsev yishte v'loy bracha. Why v'loy bracha? Because the Rav Yah. Okay. Why? No. Rav Yah is that we don't have to be mesiv. So since we can be soymech that you don't have to be mesiv, so you're yaitz in the first two places because you don't need a seder. According to Rav Yah, there's no need to do a seder nowadays. Okay. So according to Rav Yah, you were yaitz, and according to the other issue, you weren't yaitz. Some of Rav stopped them, but do it again. So there will be soymech. There will be soymech on the Rav Yah. Okay. Okay. So now, first, I would like to suggest an answer to the original question which we asked. Be'etzem, now I don't want this to be said over b'shmi because I'm saying it right now in a certain context. I asked the question originally: is haseba something be'etzem or not be'etzem? It seems to me that the machlokes the Rav Yah and the other Rishonim is it the way we express cheres or is it be'etzem a sign of cheres? If it's be'etzem a sign of cheres, it has nothing to do with whether you enjoy it or not. It is. And Rav Yah says that no, it's totally on your expression. If he doesn't express it, you're not doing anything by doing a seder, so there's no need to do a seder. That's a woman. Is there such a thing as a woman be'etzem choshev or it's situational choshev? In other words, for whatever reason it is, that's why I don't want this. That's not the subject of the concept of the discussion over here. Some women don't need to be mesiv because it's improper for whatever reason it is for women to be mesiv. But if they're what's called an isha chashuva, so circumstantially she becomes a chashuva, then we stick her with a seva. She now becomes obligated to say, but that is not be'etzem that a woman needs a seva. Her situation demands it of her. It's not the etzem. In other words, I'll give you an example. Most of the time, if you would come to visit me in my kollel, I don't run with a jacket on. Here at Avos Shalom, I always run with a jacket on. Why? So, unless you know extenuating circumstances. But now, so someone say, "Oh, it's high. You're supposed to run with a jacket on or not?" What am I going to say? All right? Be'etzem, a person should always run with a jacket on. Be'emel, be'yir, be'eses, u'zeh. But there are situations which, if it's going to share you, so you're allowed to be makel. But when you're in a certain position, you don't have the right to be makel. If you're not in that position, it's not an option. So, is it a steer that I do one place for? Well, no, it's not a steer because different situations demand. I said this over once in a different shir. I'll say it here again. A lot of times people ask me to bring a package from Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh, Beit Shemesh to Yerushalayim. I bring from Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh. I don't bring from Beit Shemesh to Yerushalayim. I try not to. Why? Because I don't think it's right. Not because I don't want to do the chesed. I don't think I have the right to do the chesed. It's not a question of wanting to do chesed. These are situations. A woman be'etzem does not need a sefer. Circumstantially, she could put herself in a position that she needs a sefer.
There are stories of Gedolim who waited on people hand and foot to be the kind of
Therefore, what? Like Moshe Rabbeinu.
Is that Lefik, right? Moshe Rabbeinu. Is that Lefik for them?
100%.
Or is it because it's a mitzvah that makes it Lefik for them? No. I'm saying, so if you're doing a chesed, you have push it, not follow the conversation. I guess
there is a difference between the person doing the chesed and you asking the person to do the chesed. I will share with you our Rashi Oruch Chaim Bressler. I remember I was a bacher in high school many years ago. I just graduated. It's been a couple of years since I graduated high school. And somebody asked him to mail a letter in New York, and he gave a whole schmooze against it. You know, that's Rashi to mail a letter in New York. That's all. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't offer for student things. But for you to ask him, I don't think that you would ask Oruch Chaim Kanevsky if he could please get you a drink. So I don't think so. Don't think you have the nerve. All right? And that's a design.
So when the Rav says it's not his right, it means that if somebody asks the Rav, could you please do me this favor, then it's not your right.
So I'll answer the question best I can. You know, I'll quote Rabbi Yashiv. Rabbi Yashiv said about a certain Rav, I have no idea who the Rav was, but this is a fascinating statement. So the person who asked the question doesn't understand what he's asking. The person who answered this question, you shouldn't trust him on any answers that he ever gives. Why? Because choser shikul das, the way you answer the question. Or certain things. So a person who would ask me that question, whatever the question was, I have no idea what the question was. Yeah. So that person who will ask me doesn't understand the concept. Right? So, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I'll give you an example of this. I have, from my nisyonis in life, everybody has nisyonis in life. I give people rides. And anybody gives a lot of people rides. There's a lot of abuse that you get from giving people rides. There's a lot of good things that come with giving people rides. And one of the nisyonis that I have is, let's say, for argument's sake, I'm going to Avos Shalom, and I picked up a guy in Yerushalayim, and he lives. This is 33, so that's 35, but that's 31, 35, and the guy lives not Rabbi Zachariash. I pick up the guy, and he knows that I'm going to Avos Shalom, right? And he says, "Could you please stop in front of my house to let me off?" I think that's a chasar. He knows where I'm stopping. Now, if I don't mind stopping for the guy. If let's say he would live in the beginning of Beit Shemesh and say he's not for the house, I do b'simcha. What's the difference? Same amount of breaks. What's the difference?
Everything just
You don't ask for
second on the road.
That's called an abuse. That's called abuse. Now, I made up the story. It happens to me all the time. Now, but I want to explain to you something. What could I do? I should tell him, no, you shouldn't do that because that's abusive. You know what the guy will think? I don't want to do chesed. So if I make a macho, so I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. Instead of telling him that you should be considerate to others, he's going to say that I'm not considerate to let him up in front of his house. And if I don't say anything, so then I'm complying with the guy and reinforcing a bad nida. So this is an issue that I struggle with this issue. So it's a very difficult situation. I deal with this often. It's a big issue. How do you overcome the situation? Okay? So if a guy asks me, will we take a package to me for Yerushalayim? What should I tell him? What can I tell him?
Listen to this share.
I'll take it myself. Before I listen to it. No, there's not much that I could say, right?
Because the fact that he asked you, you're already
right. So either he doesn't understand or he doesn't care. One or the other, right? Whatever, but it's not going to be accepted properly if I say something. No, it's the context takes away my ability to respond properly. I could say, I gave a share on the subject once, right? No, I'm saying, but that's true. But no, that doesn't help the Shas Maisa, right? Not because I don't want to do it. It's something which is an improper thing. And I just want to tell you something. One of my sons asked me to do something. And then he said, no. Why shouldn't I ask you to do that? And he quoted the Gemara. The Gemara says, the chotzif a son to ask his father to do him a favor. It's a Gemara. It's a shver Gemara. I don't know if the Gemara needs that. No! People don't understand. People don't understand. Like, why shouldn't I ask my father to do me a favor? So I gave a class yesterday to teenagers, and they asked me if they have to give meiser on presents that they get. So I decided I'm going to set them straight. I said, you mean your parents give meiser on the money that you get? So I mean, it's my money. I said, no, it isn't. It's your parents' money. So what do you mean? I work for myself. I said, do you pay rent? So because your parents are nice and let you keep it doesn't mean it's really yours. You have to know what's really going on. So what do you mean? I work for it? I said, do you pay your rent? Well, they pay your rent, they pay your schooling, they buy you clothes. But what you work for, you can keep. That's like fair. I think we should move to a communist country and get it straightened out. Anyways, so let's get back to the point over here. Women, this year's interpretation. So other years had different interpretations of this. Women be'etzem are not bar hasebas. When you have the superimposed bar haseba and a superimposed, so then the shitas haravya is sturdy. Because on a person who's be'etzem, m'chayv and haseba, the fact that times have changed, don't change it. On a person who be'etzem is pater, but the times have changed, behim chayiv, the Rav Yok can make him pater. Because it's not be'etzem. So there's no stira between the two halachas. There's one halacha of the Rav Yok for women, and we're soymech on that, and that's l'chatchila. That's l'chatchila. Why? Because nashim shalom chashuvas, that would be a siba to chayiv them in the world where heseba was an expression of chayras. But in the world where it's not, it's only be'etzem, Bad some ladies not mechuyev aseva. So it's okay. No, that's not the pshat. It says abidiyad. The minhag hanoshim is to be make. I'll just make a statement as far as what is the minhag halacha l'maisa for women. There's a big machlokes a place. Mamish 50-50 between the Gdei Yisrael in the last 500 years if women are mesiv or not mesiv. But I would say that
wrong if they're mesiv now.
No, it's definitely not wrong. Definitely not wrong. And I believe that in our society, it's a good thing for them to be mesiv, and there's vada yesh am lisva for them to be mesiv. But there are many Gdei Yisrael that said that that's not the kadin, and that's not what should be done. Okay, I just and it's not.
That's two different things.
No, I don't think anybody says that they shouldn't. No, even a person who. I will just say something which is fascinating. 1 year I looked into this. The next halacha over here is a fascinating halacha, which ben etzel oviv tzorach haseva. What's the chiddush? Because you're not allowed to be racist in front of your father. It's also. Where's your respect? So the Mishnah Berurah says, Sharatzian. Okay. Somebody says that the reason why of Mishnah Berurah, the mistama of machol livnei. Ba'atzem halacha is that he shouldn't be mason. Why? Because that's not the way you're supposed to be doing. You know, the halacha is that you're not allowed to take off your tefillin in front of your Rebbe. It's halacha. You have to turn to the side. It's not their cheretz. A person supposed to be mechaber his father, and it means you're supposed to stand at attention. As I say, that means, you know what stand at attention means? So I could say, no, what does it mean? It means you have to take your hands out of your pocket. So why? This is like basically as far as I go, right? No, you know, yesh dvarim sheze me'ala musal.
In the days when they used to eat like that, so the children didn't eat like that.
I don't think
when
so.
they ate with the fathers.
I don't think
because
so.
There's the whole hierarchy of who sits next to who on the right and the left.
Yeah, avada.
That's talking about Rebbe and Talmud there. It's
No,
not be any different than with the father and son.
We'll see in a second.
No, so he's saying that. How come the Rebbe and the Talmud got the link? It's mashma from the Gemara.
They didn't. Learn the Gemara. We're about to learn in 1 second. We'll see. Because the father and the son is different. The Talmud lifnei rabbi ain't a tzorach haseba. V'afilo ain't a rabbi muvik. Now, just for those who enjoy halachic exercises, the Shaila was asked once this too happened that a person forgot to make a seder at home, and he went to the tish of the Rebbe, and by the tish of the Rebbe, which there were already people eating over there, he saw the Rebbe make a seder. He said, "Well, I forgot to make a seder." So the halacha is he has to drink over. But the halacha is that if you're in front of the Rebbe, you don't do a seder. So the question is, what do you do? Okay, so when you have a chassidus Rebbe, then we'll discuss the Shaila. But there's already.
You don't have Pesach with Shtei Batim, so nobody would be relevant.
Do you have a lamb in your backyard?
So if the Rav had somebody from our congregation at his seder table, somebody, some members,
possibly. So we'll see. Let's read. Yes. Now, I want to tell you something. There's somebody in this shul who will be nameless. That's Makayim Halacha and Shulchan Aruch, which probably nobody over here is aware of. He never leaves the city to sleep overnight without asking me permission. Halacha and Shulchan Aruch. You have to be noitul rishus miraboi before you leave the city. Period.
Even if the Rebbe's not in the city.
I can't answer the question. He always, that's the halacha. And he has asked permission. It's not where I am. No, he's taking leave from being under my auspices. So he asks rishus, like it says in Shulchan Aruch. And you're there. You don't have a question on this? Lev, you don't have a question on this? From your day questions and answers?
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyways, But it's a serious situation. Now, some people think that this is a shtibel. Okay, and I'm just a guy who holds up Shmona Esrei. Okay, that's my position here. Okay, but the Talmud Rabbi Eino Tzarech Heseba, Vafilo Eino Rabba Muvik. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah, Eino Tzarech Heseba, Mishum Debereish Ayet Tzarech Ladok Hachi VeEino Tzarech Al Be'emes Isura Nami Ikal V'Hasi Lefonav Demoira Rabbi K'Moira Shemayim. So somebody who feels that I am Rabbi, so they would not be able to make a seba. Okay? LMK Yiten Loi Rabbi Rishus. And here the Acharonim discuss whether he has to give him Rishus Mefurish or not. Now I want to just say something. Is it incumbent on the Rav to give Rishus or not? It is not incumbent on the Rav to give Rishus. The person is Yaitza, the mitzvah. That's he doesn't have. He doesn't have a mitzvah of a seba. He's in a situation. Someone asked me. That's a shaila nachrein. 1 year, I think about 14 years ago on Shabbos Agol we discussed that question. If the mitzvah of a seba is a separate mitzvah, it's a part of the mitzvah of matzah and daled kosos. We discussed that shaila, but it's not a mitzvah. It's just a prat in a mitzvah. It's nothing by itself. Now I will just tell you. Somebody asked me this week. They're in Chutz La'aretz for a simcha, and it's Teich Shana, and they were asked to stay for Shabbos Shavachas. And my psak, I follow this psak of Moshe Feinstein. If you're in the city and you don't go to Shabbos Shavachas, it's called Avelis V'Fahasia. You're mechuyev to go. So he asked me, "Am I mechuyev to come back to Eretz Yisrael in order to not go to the Shabbos Shavachas?" That's not a joke. An Avos not supposed to go to Shabbos Shavachas. He's only allowed to go if he's not going to go. It's going to be so come back to Eretz Yisrael. Don't go. That was a question he asked me. Is the Yesh the Inyan or not?
So if there's a Kiddush in Shul and Avos should daven in a different Shul, so
it has zero to do with it. A person davens where he davens because that's where he davens. I didn't say the person mechuyev to go out of town when the Shabbos Shavach. Did I say that? That's what you just asked.
I was waiting for that. Why doesn't he just go out of town?
He lives in Eretz Yisrael. He went to America for some reason, and now the question is, should he leave the town beforehand? That's not his normal place. He lives in Yerushalayim.
Should he go back home?
Should he go back home before Shabbos Shavach? That was the question. Okay, we'll stop.